This is nannuoshan. I'm Gabriele. Welcome to what I think is the fifth Tea 101 class. We are speaking about green tea today. That's exactly the same topic we spoke about last week. And let's see, let's start with an easy question. What did we discuss last week? Anyone remember, for those that are live right now on Teams? We always do these classes live, real time on Sunday, and then we publish it a few days later on YouTube. All right, we have right away the right answer, nannuoshan and Long Jing. That's what we discussed last time. I wanted actually to discuss also other teas, but somehow I got lost speaking about those and not even completing those two teas. But we said from the beginning that these tea classes are informal. I'll just share what comes to mind, and green tea is a topic where there is a lot to say because I've been in spring many times in China sourcing for green tea. Is actually the reason why I usually travel to China in spring, because it's the green tea season. Like if you would go, for example, in search for fresh yancha, for example, or Ui rock tea, when would be the right time of the year to go there? Anyone wants to guess? I can tell it's not spring because I'm searching for something different. August is one guess. I mean, certainly in August we would be able to find some yancha that are already completely roasted. The reason is that after the spring harvest, they are roasted multiple times, sometimes even up to the very end of the year. So at the end for yancha, it really doesn't matter when you go there. Only one thing, if you go there in spring, you won't have completely roasted, finally roasted tea of the same year. But now let's go back to green tea. And last time when we discussed the Long Jing, do you guys remember which specific type of Long Jing we discussed? Today I'm up for questions, it seems. It's just 3 minutes into the call and I'm already at the third question.
I guess you mean Shihu Long Jing?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Shihu Long Jing, that's the designation of the Long Jing we discussed last time. Shihu West Lake Long Jing, the most famous and the most, can I say counterfeited, or I'm gonna say falsified somehow, when you sell something that is supposed to be authentic but it's not. But as a matter of fact, we have seen that Shihu, the Western Lake area, is very tiny, very, very tiny. And it's also very, very close to Hangzhou. And since I mentioned from the beginning that in these series of tea classes, they are not structured like you would structure a book about tea. It's more a journey where I bring you to different destinations, and without wanting to be complete in the description of everything I tell you, I just share my experience and whatever I remember. So Shihu is one of the very first places I have been in China for tea. Not the very first one, but I would say the first one for green tea. And so I started last time speaking about it. But we also mentioned that Long Jing is just a type of tea, and it doesn't have to come from Shihu, from the West Lake, to be actually authentic. Now, we have to go to the map, and I need to show you a little bit the geography around and about the West Lake, so that you know what you can better understand and I can better convey to you what I'm gonna say. What you see now is it's a wide area. We have Shanghai up here, we have Hangzhou down here, and that's where we want to zoom a little bit. And if you go to Hangzhou, you have the Shi Lake, the Shihu, the West Lake. It's just here in the very center, very close to the center of this huge, as you can see from this picture, this huge metropolitan city. And now, if I zoom out a little bit, okay? Just remember, Shihu Long Jing, just come here from this tiny little area near the lake, and maybe we switch to this view to see that the lake, I have to zoom back in, it's here, is really surrounded by residential areas, but you see that there is this strip of forest just left to it, or actually west to it. And also that if I move further down to the south, there are also greater natural areas where there are no big cities, but maybe villages. So in China, you have three main Long Jing that are the most famous one, and they have all the rights to be called Long Jing. One comes from, let's go back to this, from this lake here, down here. It is a reservoir, and although it has an official name, now that I see, I never saw that before, Xinjiang Reservoir. It's later known for the Thousand Islands Lake, just because there are many little islands on there. And in Chinese, that called Qian Dao Hu. Qian means thousand, Dao means island, Hu means lake, and if we click on that, we see that lake. So the Qian Dao Hu Long Jing is one of the three, I would say, main Long Jing by name, meaning that when you put that attribute in front, the Qian Dao Hu Long Jing, it means it comes from the gardens around and about the lake. Now, before telling you more about this region, I would mention another third famous, just for completeness, another third famous Long Jing, which is the Dafo. Actually, I don't think we can find it like this, but I can try. No, we can, especially if I write it wrong, we cannot find. Yes, this one here, the Dafo temple is famous enough. So down here there is the Dafo, which means big Buddha, Dafo, big Buddha. And in this area down here, so you see we moved from the lake, which is, let's say, southwest of Hangzhou, at about 150 kilometers from Hangzhou. We move about 100 kilometers southeast to this other region. And here we have the Dafo Long Jing. So, Shihu Long Jing, Qian Dao Hu Long Jing, Dafo Long Jing. These three T's, I would say, are the most famous Long Jing. Of course, the second and the third are way less famous than the first one. But the production there is way larger than the one in the Shihu Lake, just because of the size of the garden and of the area. Now, in the past at nannuoshan, and also in the present actually, we had Long Jing from each of these three areas. So we had Long Jing from Shihu, we had Long Jing, and we have actually Long Jing from the Thousand Island Lake. And in the past there was also some years where we had the Dafo Long Jing. So these are all areas I've also been traveling in search for tea, and that I would say are worth reviewing together. But before doing that, I would like to also generalize a little bit the area. So let's look again at the map, and let's share some other aspects of it. First of all, yes, the lake is here, and this is the most famous area. So famous, let's say, that is counted as top 3 Long Jing in China. But we have seen here before from this map that there is we don't have to go down to the lake basically to find nature, right? There is all this area that has a lot of trees and wild environment. And so if we zoom a little bit into Hangzhou, you see that there is a river here just running south of Hangzhou that is called the Qiangtang River. And this river gives also the name of a whole category of Long Jing, which are coming from the Qiangtang production area. So Qiangtang is not only the name of the river, but if you mention Qiangtang in Hangzhou, it's clear that is meant surrounding of Hangzhou, mainly south and west, where the river flows. And so this would be, if you want, it's written, yes, like this. What was Qiantang. And this, if you want, is a generalization of the Thousand Island Lake Long Jing, meaning that the Thousand Island Lake Long Jing belongs to this group of teas. Okay, and now if we do the same for Dafo, right, and we see, okay, Dafo is a specific tea and is famous, to which category, let's say, it belongs to. I have to share again. And we have to search it again, Dafo temple. And the Dafo temple is in Xinjiang. You see there is written here Xinjiang County. So let's go a little bit wider. Let's say here we have Dafo temple, and if we go to Xinjiang County, we go a little bit larger. All right, so it's a larger area, and the Xinjiang County belongs to Shaoqing Prefecture. Okay, so let's move a little bit wider with that. We go to Shaoqing, which is all this area, right? So it's pretty large, all the area south and southeast of Hangzhou. Now, within these areas, not that everywhere Long Jing comes from, but I would say the most famous area within the Shaoqing Prefecture is what we have seen before, Xinjiang, and in Xinjiang County. And together with it, there are other countries around where also Long Jing is produced. And within the Xinjiang County, the most famous Long Jing is the Dafo Long Jing. Okay, I know it's a little bit complicated, but if you want to simplify it and go back, let's say, to the very basics, you have Hangzhou with the very famous West Lake Long Jing. Then you have all this area here that is southwest of Hangzhou, that it's where the Qiang Dao Hu Long Jing comes from. And then this is the Qiang, I forget always how this lake is called. I just always remember that that's the name of the lake, but Qiangtang. And it's the Qiangtang, let's say, Long Jing from this area. And then you have this area farther south. And the T, I wrote it down, so I will write it here for completeness, because I had to search this because I didn't know. It's called Yuezhou. I don't know what does it mean, if it is the name of a place and so, but basically all this area south of Hangzhou is known apparently as a Xuezhou Long Jing. Now, I didn't know this, and probably the reason is that if you mention Dafo Long Jing and if you mention Xinjiang Long Jing, they are way more famous and well-known places. So it's kind of common in China, but maybe not only there, that when a tea comes from let's say a region, but in that region there is a specific place where it's particularly famous, then pretty much everything from that region takes the name of the specific location. And even if the production is way wider than that, and that's the reason why often I rather know the specific location names, but then I have to search what's the name, let's say, of the whole category of the area. But now I hope you have a complete view of these three main regions. And of course we can go broader, but before doing that, I want to show you some picture and tell you a little bit about my experience in this area. Also because it all started when, as I told you, when I was as I told you last time, in Hangzhou, and I realized how close it is to the city, and the fact that it's very pricey and you pay a lot for tea that may good, maybe not, with a lot of risk that it doesn't come from there, and on top of that with a lot of pollution as well. So I started looking around at other possibilities, and I have actually to look for images. Bear with me a moment. All right, I'll show you these. So when if you go in a city, a question again, if you go in a city in China and you know that is within a tea production area, but you don't know any tea farmers, and you cannot just go randomly in places and hoping to find some gardens, what's the best way to find tea from that area? Let's say you go to Hangzhou, right? And you arrive in Hangzhou because you know, okay, in Hangzhou there is Long Jing. And now let's say you don't want actually the Shihu Long Jing, because these you have already visited, and you want some other teas, but you don't have time to go 100 kilometers in one direction, maybe you find nothing. Where would you go? What you would search for?
Or a big market, like a tea market?
Very good. Today Maozi is scores 2 out of 2. So you go to a tea market, and if I find my mouse, I always problem with too many screens. I'm gonna share my screen, and this is actually not the first time that I was in Hangzhou. The first time I just went to Shihu, but I think actually I can tell you exactly, 3 years later, after having gone a few times to Shihu, I started looking farther. And I went there with a friend of mine that lives now actually in Thailand. And we started our tour from the Hangzhou tea market. I don't even remember where exactly this tea market is, but I'm pretty sure that it's easy to find if I go there again. It's and you go in the tea market. It looked at that time like this, very, very simple. A lot of boxes of tea. And you enter and you see, every shop's left and right, and guess what? Pretty much every shop is selling tons of Long Jing. And I remember actually this experience very well, although I didn't buy anything here for nannuoshan, but this for me is always a good way to start because you can find contacts also in tea markets. You can find producers that have some relatives that lives in the city and run the shop with the tea that they produce there. So you can get also contacts to then go out to the countryside. And by the way, I mentioned last time that I will tell you a little bit more about how we source tea. That's, for example, a possibility. You go to a city, you visit the tea market, you try to understand who is actually producing tea and not simply reselling it. And then when your confidence is good, they have good tea, maybe you propose them to visit their gardens the next day so that they can call some relatives, and the next day you pop up there and you just double check that everything is true what they've told you. And what you do in this tea market, you just enter a random shop, they prepare you some fresh Long Jing, and you try and try and try, and it's not a problem to just try, and if you don't like, you move on to the next one. That's pretty much the standard. So this is a way to start our tour today. Last time we have been in Shihu, and today we start in a tea market. And this tea, the tea that you buy there, I mean, some of them may say it's Shihu Long Jing, but many would simply tell you it is Hangzhou Long Jing. And when they say Hangzhou Long Jing, they pretty refer to this southern area, which has a huge Long Jing production, and they say it's just randomly for there. Of course, if they are producer, they're also able to tell you more specifically what their tea actually, where the tea comes from, and the specific location. But otherwise, they would just simply say Hangzhou Long Jing. Let me see what other picture I have for you. In that case, we didn't find any contacts in the specific market. Honestly, I don't even remember if I searched for contacts there. Maybe it was just, to get an experience and a feeling what's the quality of Long Jing and the prices of Long Jing in a market and not in the West Lake touristic area. And in fact, one thing that I remember of that market is that they had the second cheapest tea I've ever seen while traveling in China. And this is speaking about really hand-picked tea, leaves by leaves, and it was a Long Jing, of course, was incredibly cheap. With incredibly cheap, you can consider 10 times cheaper than an average quality Long Jing. And let me do the math so I can tell you more precisely. And about 50 times cheaper than a high quality Shihu Long Jing. 50 times. So you pay either €1 or you pay €50, $1, $50 for exactly the same quantity. And I remember the tea not only because it was very affordable, but it was also, I'm just saying I have fireworks behind me here, but on Teams, but was also very tasty. Actually, was really good. Yeah. And I don't remember if I bought some for me or I just asked for a sample. The good thing is that when you're traveling for tea in China and you're doing business, you can tell them, and when you ask for a sample, if you're lucky, they give you, 100 grams of tea. So it's no need to buy it. And unfortunately, the video was cut short because of some storage problems. Sorry about that. We will not be able to show you the second half of the video of the tea class where we discussed and showed more pictures about the two main areas of production of Long Jing in Zhejiang beyond the Shihu Long Jing. Anyway, we will continue next time with green tea, and if you have the chance, just join with us live. It is every Sunday at 6 p.m. in Europe, noon, 12 p.m. Eastern Time in the US. If you are not there on a specific Sunday, it's because it's a little bit difficult to really make sure to be there every single week. We do an effort for it. If not, we will just skip the week. If you are in our Discord, we mention every Sunday or every Saturday we write there if the tea class will take place or not. And usually, if on a Sunday there is a tea class, I also post a short story on Instagram with the link so that you know that we are streaming. Check just on Sunday morning our Instagram, and if you see a story there, it means we are streaming and you can join. Sorry about that. I will see you at the next one. Bye guys.